So it's been 3 weeks since the latest patch for F1 24 dropped, 1.14, and when it did, it seemed like the only semi-interesting new content as part of their live service was going to be the Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen Abu Dhabi throwback scenario. Because which F1 fan doesn't want to relive that trauma all over again? So now it's live in the game, and when I cover the update, I did ask you guys if you would be interested in me covering this scenario, so here we are. We're going to see if it's worthwhile, and I'm going to test it out so you don't have to. Now, I will give them credit. I didn't know this scenario was actually going to be split up into 2 parts. So the first part is obviously the obvious one, rewriting history, playing as Lewis Hamilton and trying to win the race in Abu Dhabi. But there's also a scenario where you get to play as Verstappen and actually just finish and do the same job he did in real life. I guess, to keep it fair, and obviously, Verstappen fans would probably love to relive that moment. So we're going to start off with that scenario first, because I feel like the one where we're driving as Lewis is going to be a little bit more spicier and more of a challenge. So here we are, trying to redo what Verstappen did in real life.
We've got more F1 World action for you today. Welcome along, everybody, as we look down at our grid. Who's your driver to follow?
Well, Crofty, I was actually thinking about following Nicholas Latifi. I think that might be the one to watch in this race. Wow, the amount of trauma, just seeing this on board, seeing the Mercedes ahead of us. We're on softs, the Mercedes on hards, the safety car ahead coming in. I can't even lie. The feelings of that day were coming back to me in the cockpit. This honestly really is like reliving a bit of Formula 1 fan trauma. We joined this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the point where Michael Massey has already interfered, and it's time now for the last couple of laps, and we are going to do exactly what Verstappen did in real life and pull right alongside Lewis, put the pressure on him. As you can see behind us, the pecking order is pretty much the exact same as it was in real life, apart from the lapped cars and the different driver transfers we have now in 2024, as we already put Lewis on the back foot into turn 1, not making the overtake yet. Look at those fresh, soft tyres, 3% only, and the target is simple. And you know what? We can definitely match what Verstappen did in real life and send it down the inside. Bit more of a lock-up than Verstappen did IRL, but ultimately it's a very similar move as we get up into first. But unlike in 2021, here, F1 24, the slipstream is ridiculous, and Hamilton has managed to get back into the lead by a tiny whisker as we pull back to the racing line. He's on the inside, we give him the room to work with, and ultimately just have the grip to out-traction him midway through that complex. The Mercedes will come back at us with the slipstream once again. We don't have too much battery, but it's not going to matter. We're going to be comfortable at this stage on lap 56, and we're so comfortable, in fact, onto lap 57. There's nothing the British driver can do in the Mercedes, and, well, unlike in real life, I think, we're in the lead already. Why not have a little bit of fun? Let's toy around with the Mercedes. Let's give him some false hope. Toto Wolff at this point absolutely elated on the pit wall in the garage as his driver has got into first place. Little does he know, I am just playing with the Mercedes. We're playing around with our food because this Lion has fresh soft tyres on, and we really don't need to worry about going down to second, because every traction zone, the grip is ridiculous. As you can see also behind us, Sonoda on the soft is giving challenge to Russell and Sainz in this alternate Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as we have DRS open. We're not even deploying too much battery here, staying on medium. We're in single digits of ERS, but we fling it down the inside. Hamilton, to be fair to him, gives up a pretty decent fight on the exit, and he's still just ahead, but we've got the supreme confidence to keep it planted round the outside into the hotel section as we get back into first place as we come towards the last lap of this race. Sainz in behind, closing a little bit as we're kind of, just squabbling for the sake of having some fun with it, basically. And unlike in 2021, us as Verstappen, we're not desperate. We know what is to come. We know the history that he is about to write, etching himself into the tapestry of Formula 1 history as a 4-time now world champion. So we can take it easy. There's no pressure. There's no desperation. We can have a bit of fun and really toy mentally with with our opponents and not really put up too much of a fight into these corners, giving them a glimmer of hope maybe of re-overtaking us, knowing the entire time that we're saving battery now at this point as well, of course, and we're keeping our tyres in a good nick to have absolute supreme grip when we need it. I mean, Lewis is up into first place. He's well ahead, but look at the dive bomb there and the drift action going on into the left and right. And we almost drifted our way through into first place, but no bother. It's fine. We'll stay in second place. We'll tuck up behind the rear wing of the Mercedes, who has no battery left, and I'm sure at this stage as well, very much no tyres, as we swing round the bend. And here on the final lap, it is very familiar scenes here as it was 3 years ago.
And in 2021, it comes down to this. And at this moment, it looks like it's going to go the way of Max Verstappen. Mercedes not happy. Red Bull will be delighted. They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one, and it's going Dutch in 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion of the world.
Yes! Yes! Oh my God!
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion!
So history repeats itself in this scenario this time out, and we have won the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix versus Hamilton on the fresher, soft tyres, and taking Verstappen's first world championship in this very weird alternate universe. Yeah, to be fair, it's a well-made little scenario. Again, like most F1 24 scenarios, kind of maybe wanting a little bit more. Like, it would have been cool to have a couple of more laps in the build-up, like running into the safety car period. Like, would have been cool to have like a cutscene maybe of seeing a Williams spinning into the barrier and maybe having some VO lines from real life, like, you know, Toto Wolff, Horner, and Massey kind of going back and forth to really add to the context of the scenario. But it's still equally a bit trippy just to have something like this with the F1 24 lineup. So with that, now we switch over to the definitely more juicier version of this entire bit of content. It's now the scenario where we're driving as Lewis Hamilton and we're looking to rewrite history and get his 8th world championship.
We've got more F1 World action for you today, so welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, and pick your favourite driver to follow.
Well, in this case, Crofty, the favourite driver to follow is definitely going to be this man, Lewis Hamilton, as we take the reins of his car. And now it's a very different situation. We're looking backwards. We're a bit worried. We're a bit nervous. We know we're on very old hard tyres. We've got our rival behind us on fresh softs. Surely this is going to be a near impossible task. 45% tyre wear, 46% on some of those tyres. Especially on F1 24, that percentage is very high. Like, the tyres are going to be very second-hand, and they already immediately are, and that's apparent to me as we get on throttle to start the green flag lap, because I lost the back end immediately, as it's a stark difference to the Red Bull I just drove. Having to really wrestle the car. There is so much understeer through this right-hander, because the tyres, they might be a bit cold, but they've just got no grip. But we're going to do what Hamilton failed to do in 2021 and defend the inside line, Lewis. Close the door and make sure Verstappen doesn't do any funny business to us on the entry point by taking us wide. But it won't matter. The Red Bull in the slipstream, but we go mega aggressive. We give Verstappen a taste of his own medicine as we squeeze him all the way to the wall, then get back to the racing line, trying to open up the corner and the chicane complex for ourselves. Again, get the elbow out, straighten up the car, and try and drive our opponent to the white line to force his hand. This is the new style of racing in Formula 1, it seems. If you've got the inside, you can just drive someone off the road, and that's exactly what we're looking to do here as we desperately try and defend. And now Carlos Sainz in the mixer, up to second place. The Spaniard, the Ferrari, could help us out as we're still dealing with the tyre wear. Oh, Verstappen! Verstappen's made a kamikaze dive. That is insane. I think you'll agree that's the kind of dive he legitimately would have done in real life. if at this point Hamilton had still kept it ahead in P1. That's actually pretty insane and hilarious that his AI has made such an incredible dive bomb from so far back. But so far, we are just doing what we need to do. Yes, he gets alongside us, but we just get the elbow out. We just eke him out to the outside every single time. And at the same part of the track, we'll play a bit of a game to try and get the DRS. Verstappen flies by. Sainz, though, comes through. That's not in the game plan. Verstappen locks up. We've half spun it as the Ferrari, the contact system, sent us into a half spin. I mean, you can see by my facial expression, bloody hell, that was a Code Brown situation. Verstappen, though, with a double lockup, got flustered into P1, but the Ferrari ultimately takes the lead now because of that. But that could have been an absolute calamity. That could have been me facing backwards at that corner. I think we got spun on Sainz's rear end because I got flustered by Verstappen having that big double lockup with a big puff of smoke. But in a weird way, this now really works out for me and helps me because Sainz now is giving me DRS the entire time. Remember, going into Abu Dhabi, we're level on points with Verstappen, so it's basically whoever finishes ahead of the other will win this World Championship. So I don't mind if Sainz wins this race as long as we stick in second place ahead of Verstappen. And right now, the Ferrari is giving me a bit of a toe on every straight. Yes, there's a bit of dirty air there in the corners, but obviously this is F1 24 as well, remember. Even though it's the 2021 scenario, it's still F1 24. So we know it's difficult to overtake. The training is going to be there, and so I can train my way to the victory here for the World Championship. If I just stick with DRS, we're saving a little bit of battery. You know, we've got 40% battery. It's not maybe the most ideal amount, but it's still a good amount to close up to the Ferrari, and we're on the last lap now. This is it. As long as we pull away from Verstappen, and he does get a bit close to us, and I'm worried about the Red Bull, but then that DRS kicks in for us, and now we're slowly reeling in Sainz. Verstappen is even closer than us. We go defensive on the inside, give him a little bit of room to work with, and almost give him a bit of false hope of his own there to go around the outside, as we're losing the back end a little bit as the tyre wear is really not too great on these hards. But we've only got one sector to go, and with this last DRS zone, Verstappen is nowhere near us. Surely this is the nail in the coffin. Well, if that wasn't, this is going to be Sainz with no battery, so we'll make the overtake for first place and rewriting history in doing so.
He is the man who raises the bar, who raises the stats, who takes things to stratospheric levels, and he's only got 3 corners now. He can see the crowd standing and giving him that round of applause. Records are there to be broken, said Michael Schumacher. The record is broken. In 2021, Lewis Hamilton, 8-time champion of the world. What a victory! Hamilton is back.
Superb. What a superb drive. Such difficult conditions, kept it all pointing in the right direction.
Thank you very much, Martin. Yes, we did have this thing going in the right direction at all time. I'm not going to lie, actually. This is probably the most fun I've had with an F1 World, F1 live service content update. You know, just because of the context of, you know, the whole scenario. Whether it's actually worth your time, I mean, if you really deep it, it's still only, what, like 8, 9, 10 laps of content. Did you enjoy at least watching that from my POV? Guys, if you did enjoy it, then be sure to hit the like button. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.